What's up? This is Monday, March 14th, and this is your morning momentum. My name is Richie, and I'm the lead pastor at Movement Church in Tipp City, Ohio.
My name is Ethan, and I'm the media director here at Movement Church.
Man, we are so glad that you have joined us. Ethan, tell our listeners what they are in for if they have not yet tuned in to one of our podcasts.
Insanity, but also knowledge and motivation.
Absolutely. We want you to know that even though it's Monday, it's going to be a good day.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in your perspective of how you put into it.
That's right. And we're here to get your perspective adjusted to make it the best day it can be. Best week it can be.
Best week.
Yeah.
The best month.
I wouldn't go any more than that.
No.
Best year is a little bit much.
Is it? I wasn't going to go there. I was going to say the best you.
Oh.
Did you like that?
I do like that.
I thought that was pretty
good.
good.
The best you can be.
I thought it was pretty good. So, Ethan, I had a week off.
Mm-hmm.
Got a vacation in. Not really a vacation.
Let me just make a quick note. While you were gone, for the people that were watching the videos, I don't know if you noticed, but we actually had the hologram of you set up, so it wouldn't look any different.
Oh, that was nice of you. I appreciate you doing that.
So we set that up. So when you called in, it looked like you were here. It
was very Disney of you.
Yeah.
Very Universal of you.
Universal, which you just went to Disney World.
We did. We went to Florida. My wife and I went to Florida because they got this big youth event every 4 years in the Nazarene world, and it's called Nazarene Youth Conference. And so we got to go to Tampa to go and get ready for this event, give some input, see the city, that type of stuff. But before that, my wife and I made the decision that we would go a couple days ahead of time and we'd get some parks in.
Yeah.
And so we went to Universal for a little bit. While we were there, blown away. I'm gonna tell you something, Ethan. I don't know if this is something you would know about or not, so we're gonna find out here in a second. Do you know who the Blues Brothers are?
I do.
Yeah, we got to see them in concert.
Very cool.
At Universal, they do a concert every hour, one of those shows.
Oh yeah.
And then they had this Aretha Franklin, what do you call them? Imitator, whatever. Impersonator. She was really good. She did good. She did her R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Find out what it means to me.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Yeah, nobody knows what the next part is that she says.
B-E-C-T.
Something like that. And anyways, if you know what she says, please let us know. But anyways, so we saw them. I love the Blues Brothers. I think it's funny. Kristen, I think that she was still trying to figure it out. I think she was sitting there. They show up in this beat up police car. Mm-hmm. They come out. They got their black suits on, and they did, however, give me a new way for us to end all of our services with. The Blues Brothers, when they finish their performances, they say, "Good night. We'll see you later. We are on a mission from God." And I'm like, hey, that's good. We're on a mission from God. And that's kind of their forte is what they're doing.
We could definitely use that.
We're on a mission from God. Peace.
Yeah.
I like it. And so, anyways, it was good. Saw the Transformers. Actually saw...
saw the Transformers?
We did. We saw the Transformers. We saw... who's the really good guy, the big one? Megatron, right?
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. Megatron was the bad guy, right?
I don't know.
I thought
Megatron was a whole
Optimus Prime.
comic.
We saw Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
We took a picture of him. He was out greeting and talking to people.
Really?
That was really cool.
Out greeting and talking to people. Optimus Prime.
We saw SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Patrick Star.
Yeah.
We saw Squidward.
Yes.
We went into SpongeBob's house. That was really cool. Yep. Under the sea.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Simpsons Land.
Okay.
And went to the donut shop.
Which is actually just Springfield.
It is Springfield. And it was fantastic. I got a donut that was the size of your face. And that's what I ate for breakfast the next 3 days. So it was good. And so Universal was great, but I didn't tell you about the other part.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a huge fan, but I will say it was one of the most spectacular scenes I've ever seen. Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was something out of a movie.
That's because it was out of a movie.
I know. It was good. It was fun. They had this dragon in town that would blow fire, and it was awesome. Disney was cool. Hollywood Studios, the castle, all the roller coasters. I'll be honest with you, Ethan. My wife really hurt my ego during the trip. I was very proud of myself. For those of you listening, Ethan knows this. I'm not a roller coaster person. I'm not. I really don't like heights. I'm okay with flying. It doesn't bother me at all. But I don't like the drops. I don't like going upside down. It's just not my thing. Yeah. And while I was there, I rode the roller coasters at Magic Kingdom, and I rode the different rides and stuff at Universal. I was very proud of myself, and I told everybody I was very excited that I rode Slinky Dog. Very proud of myself.
I don't even know what that is.
It's this really cool. It's this roller coaster through Andy's backyard. For the Toy Story. Okay, and you're riding the Slinky Dog, and I thought it was an awesome roller coaster. My wife was like, "That was a child's ride." I was like, "Do not minimize.
It's Toy Story.
Do not minimize what I just did. I just rode a roller coaster that did not have a dragon's face on the front of it at a festival, and I was very proud of myself for that.
Yeah,
and so it was a big week for me. I will tell you. My anxiety was through the roof waiting in line for it because I just don't like roller coasters. But when I rode it, I was glad I did. So it was fun. Good time. Tampa's beautiful. Loved it. Sometimes it stinks. Like, physically. Smells bad.
Probably because of the heat and wetness.
Yeah, the water, the bay. Yeah, or the people.
Or the people.
Could have been the people there. But all in all, great trip. Lots of fun. I'm going to be honest, if you have right now a student who is in the 7th grade all the way through juniors in high school, I'm sorry, if you're graduating this year, you missed it. But if you have a 7th grader right now through a junior in high school, you have to find a way to get them to go to Nazarene Youth Conference. And listen, if you're like, hey, dude, we're not Nazarene, that's all right. Call me up. Let's get your student to go with us. It is going to be one of the most fantastic experiences of a student's life ever. Ethan, you got to go to NYC. What did you think of it?
It was really fun. It was really fun. It was cool. It was cool to experience. Because when you go, it's something you don't like. We were in the Phoenix Suns Stadium.
Yep.
And so I don't know, something you don't really experience when you go and you have this whole stadium filled, but it's not filled for a sports event. It's filled for this conference.
It's like a church.
And so it's like a huge church service, and everyone's there for kind of the same reason, and it's really cool to see that many people kind of in that spot. And then even outside of that, just connecting with people within like my specific church group and kind of growing in relationships there too.
I think it's cool because you see people from all over the United States, Canada, but then you see people from other countries as well that show up, and probably the best worship experience. Even if the band is not top notch, it's still the most incredible thing to be surrounded by 10,000 students. Like, it's one thing to go to a concert. We could go to an Elevation concert, we can go to Hillsong concert, and they're going to be incredible. But it's just something different about worshiping with 10,000 students.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it, but it's something that I highly suggest. Would you suggest somebody making sure they get to go to that if they can?
I would highly suggest it.
Worth every dime?
Worth every dime.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about money, but if you really want to go and pray about it, you'll get it.
Oh, I guarantee it. So we're excited about it. And so my wife and I get to be a part of planning it. We get to be a part of the planning for our district and also our field. And so we're excited that we get to be a part of that. This week, yesterday actually, we started in continuing on in our series, Thin Spaces. The idea of where the place between heaven and earth wears thin, where they collide, the supernatural, the spiritual realm, where God seems so close that you could literally reach out and physically touch him. Like, it's just one of the craziest moments that you can experience. And we've been talking about this thin space and where it wears and how we experience it and what it looks like. And We've talked about letting faith take place. We've talked about the heal, or we're getting ready to talk about the healing, but we've talked about the protection that God gives us. We've talked about the battles that happen in that thin space. We talked about letting faith happen to be able to allow this stuff to take place. And so we move into a part now for the next multiple weeks where we're going to talk about something called healing. And this week was really like kind of an intro into it. But it's something that's well debated sometimes within the church. And I'll be honest with you. This could be an unpopular opinion for some. I don't understand why it's a debated thing. I don't understand why it's something that some churches will kind of stray away from. Because the reality of it is that if you read, breathe, and understand and know that Scripture is the gateway to our salvation and that everything written in there is an account of what Jesus did, then we learned and we saw that Jesus healed on so many different levels. And to me, it's a no-brainer that he still does it today because I have seen the way that he works and I've seen the way that he moves with my own eyes. I believe in the testimonies that I've heard my brothers and my sisters talk about on how they have seen how God moves. And but I think that the reality of it comes down to this, is that our healing, the things in our life that we need healing from, I'll be real with you. I think sometimes we limit what God can do, but not only do we limit what God can do, but we almost treat him like a genie at times. And I've used that before, but I'm going to tell you, I've got this thing where if I'm out and about and I see something, I think, oh man, that would be a really good sermon illustration, or that would be a really good sermon. And when I was at Disney, they had a thing called Genie Plus.
Yeah.
All right, Genie Plus, you would sign up for something ahead of time, okay? And then, like, let's say Millennium Falcon. You'd sign up for that, and it would say, come back at 3:30, and you get to jump to the front of the line. Okay, cool. Well, I think the reality of it is that people do that. Like, when they are looking for a movement of God, when they are looking for healing to take place in their life, when they're looking for something new to happen, it's one of these things where it's almost like I need it, and I need it now, and I don't want to wait for it. And so I want it, and I know that God could make this happen, but I need it to happen now. And, you know, we see in scriptures a lot of time when we talk about faith, we see how God works, and he's not a genie. And it's not something where we just go to him with wishes and just hope that it happens and rub the Bible 3 times, and then all of a sudden, poof, he appears and makes our 3 greatest wishes appear. It doesn't work that way. And this week, Ethan, we talked about 3 Bible stories. The first one is parting the sea. You're familiar with the story.
I'm very familiar with this story.
So give us just a real quick 90-second. Here's where Moses, you remember he goes out and he's dealing with the king and or Pharaoh and all this stuff's going on, and he gets his people. Yep. Right, and he takes off with them, right? And so they're trying to flee, right?
Yep.
And then what happens?
Oh yeah, they come up to the Red Sea.
Yeah.
And it's like, crap, we gotta cross this thing, and it's like, no worries.
And the Red Sea wasn't just like a stream or a knee-high thing, right?
It was the Red Sea.
It's deep.
It's big.
Yeah.
And so you've seen the pictures. Gets his staff, bam. Parts the Red Sea, and then they start filing through. And then when they get across, closes down, and they're safe.
Yeah. Washes out even the guys that are chasing them. And I think one of the funniest parts of it is, and this kind of reflects back at us, is that once they hit the sea, like Moses didn't trip up. He was like, oh yeah, like I've got faith. Like I know my God. He's not going to take us to this point and then trap us. No. But what did everybody else do? They were like, come on, Moses, what's wrong with you, man? We trusted you. We were going to let you take us wherever. And then you take us here. Like, you didn't realize that there was a giant body of water on the map? Like, come on now, man.
Yeah.
And just like you said, dude, he like parted the sea, and they crossed it safe. And I think one of the greatest things with that is that sometimes we just need to let faith happen to make a way for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of the things that I said yesterday was faith can be limited by your experience. What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting because usually you would think like with experience you get kind of wiser and kind of better, more well-rounded. But I think with that also comes doubt, maybe. Mm-hmm. Because when you have so much experience with something, you kind of feel more, okay, I can do this myself now. I have experience with this kind of stuff. I know how it goes. I can do it. And so you lose your faith in God to take control of situations that you think you can handle on your own.
Yeah, and I think we saw that with the Israelites. You know, they just felt like they just felt let down. They just weren't there. They were trying to figure it out, and you know, they just watched all these plagues happen. They saw all this craziness take place on their land, and all this stuff takes place and happens. And then all of a sudden, they're following this guy they've never met before, and he's leading them out. And they just get to a point where their experiences limited them. Instead of getting to the water and knowing that God was going to provide a way, they got to the water and cursed them. Like, come on, seriously? What's going on with this? And exactly like you said, I think sometimes that our experiences in life, the damage, the hurt that comes from even living this life sometimes can really limit what it is that we can experience from God.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, man, when I think of a story in the Bible that talks about faith and God, you got Abraham and Isaac. And this story is like every kid's nightmare. Like,
I don't know about,
no.
Definitely not a good thing, but probably not a nightmare.
It's insane, though. Like God's like, hey, I need you to take your son Isaac up to the mountain and sacrifice. And Abraham the entire time's like, I know my God is not going to make me sacrifice my son. But what's he do? He gets everything that he needs to sacrifice, grabs his son, takes his son up there. He's intending to put his son on the sacrifice block and on the altar, but he knows that God is going to provide a way for this to not happen. And he goes all the way to that point, and an angel calls out. And an angel calls out, Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. What are you doing, Abraham? At that point, he hears this noise in the bushes. Mm-hmm. And what is it?
A ram.
It's like, come on now.
Perfect for him.
Perfect for the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Isaac's sitting there going, Dad, hey.
I don't know about, he was probably crying.
He probably was. He was probably
not just going, hey, what are you doing? It was probably speechless, cried.
He's like, you've got to be kidding me. I am not.
Not again.
I am not going with you again to this mountainside.
Yeah, it was probably like, I'm not gonna help you out anymore after this. This is crazy.
He's like, I'm going elsewhere. But I think sometimes we need to let our faith provide, and that's what Abraham did. Is that in that moment, even from the beginning, when he heard the call from God that what he needed to do, he knew that God would provide for him. And I'm going to tell you something. Ethan, and we're going to talk about this here, but I'm going to say this. I think that there's a lot of people that have the question constantly, why didn't God choose to heal me? Why didn't God choose to heal my mom, my dad? Why didn't he restored this guy's eyesight? Why not mine? Mm-hmm. And we hear that a lot. And I'm going to be honest, that is a hard question. But I'm going to tell you, I thought it was one of the coolest things. I'm praying about a couple things. I've actually been asked this question quite a few times over the past maybe 2-3 months. Why not me? Why not me? Why does God choose to ignore me? I'm like, I don't think God's ignoring you. And I'm in the gym. Honestly, I remember it exactly when God did it. I'm in the middle of doing the chest press, and and it just like smacked me like a salmon jumping out of the lake.
Great
okay?
analogy.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to stop, and I got my phone out real quick and typed it down. But it's this, okay? God doesn't always choose to heal because sometimes he sees the curse that the blessing holds for you. And when you think about that, you know, we want our eyesight back.
Mm-hmm.
But God knows what you're going to do with that eyesight. And he chooses to withhold that from you. You know, or, you know, we beg for somebody's life to be resurrected. But he knows what that resurrection is going to hold for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell you this. From what I've read in Scripture, there is no greater place, there's no greater healing moment in your life than when it is that you get to go spend an eternity in heaven.
Yeah.
There's no amount of healing that can take place here on this earth that's going to amount to the healing that takes place in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we forget about that. I think sometimes we forget about the evils that sometimes come with those healings. And I think a lot of times we want things done our way, the way that we expect it to happen. And God's sitting here going, oh, no, but I know that if I do this for you, this could destroy your life.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that when somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's tough because everyone kind of has the same vision of, like, even if you don't, like, even if someone doesn't really believe in Christianity, but when they hear God, it's like he's the miracle worker or he does good stuff. And so when there's things where it's like, well, he's not doing something good now, or why isn't he helping this person? I think it's really hard for us to kind of still carry our faith because we want it to happen now and we want it to happen our way, which doesn't make sense at all. And so that's really difficult. But I think it's in Scripture somewhere, but it's like it's better to go to heaven with like some sort of disability. I don't remember what it says, than not go to heaven at all. And so I think that's really like kind of puts you in your place of like, yeah, I guess God's right.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we got to rely on is just to know that God's in control and God has this. And I think a lot of times we do struggle with that. But, dude, you're absolutely right though. It's a tough thing sometimes because we want a certain way, but we'll never understand and know why things happen the way they happen. But we just got to trust and know that God is definitely in control. And when we think about that, I think about the story at Easter. Often it's talked about Good Friday. You know, Jesus is hanging on the cross. People are hurling insults at him. They're asking him, like, where's your Father at now? And at this point, you know, there's a lot of theology behind this. There's a lot of theologians that believe different things, but I think widely accepted is that his Father was not with him on the time of the cross. Jesus screams out, "Why have you forsaken me? Father, Father, Abba, Abba." And he screams out to him. And in this moment of this happening, Jesus is hanging on a cross, nailed to a cross next to two thieves. One is joining the crowd and he is hurling insult after insult at Jesus. But then there's another one. And he's there on the cross. He looks over at Jesus and he just, with every bit of energy that he has, says, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus, you got to remember this. I think this is something that we often overlook. They say that Jesus was in so much pain that you or I would have been unconscious from it. The things that they did, the crown of thorns, the nails through the wrists, the nails through the feet, any of that stuff, our bodies would have been in so much shock that we would not have been even conscious through this stuff. Mm-hmm. And here Jesus is, and he looks over at this guy who was a thief, who was at the end of his life as well, and looks over at him and he says, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." And I think so often, Ethan, and I'll let you talk about this for a second, is that we need to let faith change us. And I think too many times in our lives, we find ourselves in a place that we feel like, I'll say this, we're an old dog that can't learn new things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I think is really cool about this story in kind of both areas, not only like, well, okay, I'll talk about the old dog thing first, but like, yeah, I think in our lives, people have so much stuff that they do in their life. And when they learn about how much of it is probably not the best thing they should have done in terms of their faith, it seems like, well, I have no chance anymore. You know, like God's loving and he loves everybody, but man, I've done some bad stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think this just goes to show like he's at the end of the road here, and he takes a chance. And he says, God, or Jesus, will you remember me? And he's accepting it even then, even at the end. It seems like if you're dying for what you did in your life, you wouldn't have like the ability to go, will you save me? Even though I'm dying right now for what I've done, will you still save me? And so I think that's amazing, and it's kind of cool that we can learn something from a thief on the cross and apply it to our lives. But we are the thief on the cross, really. And I also think it's so amazing that even like you said, we would be unconscious, that even to Jesus' last breath before his resurrection, he's saving people.
Yeah.
He's being awesome. And I think it's really cool. Just that moment is so cool to me.
Yeah, I love that, man. And we want you to know this. If you're driving into work today, maybe you just got to work, or you're at the gym working out, or you're at home listening, whatever it is, I want you to know that Jesus is saying that exact same thing to you. All you got to do is reach out to him, call out to him, and Jesus is ready to take you into paradise and to give you an eternity with him. And all it is the exact same thing that thief did, is just calling out, Jesus, remember me. You are my Savior. I know where you are. I know how you reign, and please forgive me for those things. And I'm going to tell you, your life will change forever. Mm-hmm. And listen, I know it's Monday. I know it sucks. I get it. I don't like Mondays either. But here's the reality of it, is that you have a chance today to help change someone's life, to be a part of somebody else's life as well. How is it today that you are going to conquer the world? And we know that you are going to do big things today. We know that God has a plan for you, and we are excited for you because you get to spend another week at your amazing job. Maybe it's a bad job, but even if it's a bad job, it's what you make of it.
Also, just to get you more excited about the Monday, today, I was going to say this at the beginning, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. Today is Pi Day.
Oh, my goodness.
3.14.
Yes, it is.
And we didn't even talk about it. I had something planned.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do it Friday.
Friday? Yeah.
I was going to see what your Pi, it was like Pi personality or something, some BuzzFeed quiz.
We'll do that. We'll shoot that Friday.
But anyway,
it's
later. Pi Day. It's Monday. Get yourself a pie. You know, get a good start to the week. Enjoy it.
Love it. You guys are going to conquer the day, conquer the week, and we cannot wait to be back with you on Friday and on Monday. If you need that midweek pick-me-up, you've got the Wednesday shift that you can find on any of the podcast resources. You can also find it at YouTube and on Facebook. And we cannot wait to be back with you on Friday and then again next Sunday. Go conquer the day, conquer the week, and we'll see you soon.
See you Friday.
Bye.
What's up, everybody? My name's Ethan. I'm the media director here at Movement Church in Tipp City, Ohio. And I just wanted to thank you so much for listening to this today. This ministry is made possible by your generosity. And if you want to continue to support the movement, you can go to movementchurch.community and find some more stuff there. And also make sure to follow us on social media. That means Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And make sure when you go to YouTube, you hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything we're putting out. I also just want to thank you again so much for tuning in and supporting us. God bless.